accomplished, educated, and well-written individual, but he also has learned how to make good money, helping other people save and make good money as well. So today, please welcome our guest from Apex Financial Services, talking about Encore entrepreneurs, Mr. Lee Baker.
Thank you, Ron, for that introduction. I'd like to thank you guys for having me here. Thank you, Joseph, for the invitation. This is my first time being in the village of Smyrna, and commented to a few people that this place is beautiful. Now, I live out in Stone Mountain. I like that. I like that. I love Stone Mountain, and so if I say anything, I don't want anybody in this room to run back and tell on me, but this village looks a whole lot better than downtown Stone Mountain. So you guys should be proud of what you've got and toot your horn. The other thing I'd like to say is I appreciate the fact that you guys made me feel so welcome and at home for a guy from the other side of town. I got introduced to the legend, Don, and got a brief tutorial on the difference between furnace glass making and doing a little more delicate things. I've already signed up for a lesson with Doc Black after this is over to fix my golf swing, so I really feel at home, and thank you guys for having me here. Now, one of the things that I've been able to do the last several years, and I've enjoyed it, is being a spokesperson for AARP. Now, that is a little strange in a couple of respects. One, I'm still not old enough to be a member yet. I tried to negotiate an early membership. They told me no. You can take what we give you, but you can't become a member because discounts are great. And one of the things I discovered is how huge of an organization AARP is. Millions of members, but the breadth of what they do and the resources that they provide, I found to be amazing. Went to D.C. to the corporate office, and it took 2 buildings to find out where everything was. And so with that being said, what I'd like to focus on today, and I hope that if you take away nothing else, it's the fact that there are resources that are applicable to business owners, primarily small business owners, through AARP. Now again, as Ryan indicated, that's not my day job. I'm a certified financial planner. I work with small business owners, but I have been surprised at the resources that are available through AARP. I've often been told that I tend to be a day late and a dollar short. And that is the case today. Last month, ending yesterday, was Small Business Mentor Month. And the SBA, Small Business Administration, and AARP partnered for events throughout the country all of last month. And so hopefully it doesn't bother you guys too much that we're going to carry it over just one more day. So Encore entrepreneurs, what are we talking about? We're talking about those people, and you can imagine the focus of AARP is focusing on those people over 50. How many people in here had previous careers before they started doing what they're doing now? Okay. Now, anybody brave enough to just briefly share a little bit about how you made that transition and why you made that transition? Stop.
Everybody, many people in this room know that I was a cardiologist for 22 years. And I had the unfortunate events, and it was plural, to have 2 heart attacks and open heart surgery. I had 5 coronary artery bypass grafts. So I decided that since I had a background with the PGA when I was young, that I was going to go back into the PGA. And I did. And which was supposed to be 2 years, it turned out to be 18 years. So I did make a transition from doing that, and many of you know in this room that I became known as Dr. Golf. I did golf tournaments, especially with the support of the chamber. It was incredible. So I did make a transition from that, and just to show the spirit of things, here's my AARP card.
Thank you for that. It wasn't a plan. Honestly, I remember the first time we did.
He's taking golf lessons with me.
We know it's set up when we see one.
Really quick love affair. But it's interesting the number of people for any number of different reasons that have had a second phase of their life. You know, the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor, they've got some data based on 2013. 50% of new businesses launched by individuals over the age of 50 are still in business after 5 years. So what might that tell us? I think it tells us a few things. One, if you're over 50, you've had some seasoning. You've taken your lumps along the way. You've learned some things. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't continue to learn new things. I'm learning new things in this. Still got a couple of years before I hit 50, but I'm learning new things. Now, everybody knows how difficult it can be to start a new business, and you've heard all the stories about how many businesses fail and how many businesses don't succeed to future generations. Those are difficult things, but I think one thing that we can take away from it is that for those of us who are soon either over 50 or soon to be over 50, we've taken our lumps and we've learned some things. Now, another thing, and I've got my own personal reasons as to why I think this is the case, but Encore entrepreneurs are the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs in the United States. Americans aged 55 to 64 had a higher rate of entrepreneurial activity than those between the ages of 20 and 34. Okay? So, what are some of those reasons? Well, everybody in this room knows the last 5, 6 years were not the most challenging environments in the world. Excuse me, were some of the most challenging environments in the world. Excuse me. Just a little slip of the tongue. That was regular with sweet tea over there. So I think some of what we're seeing here is a function of a couple things. A very challenging environment. If you've been in the corporate world, you've either experienced yourself or known someone who, when it came time to do what they like to call risk, reductions in force, start to look and say, listen, who's the most expensive people we got on the payroll? Quite often they are the people who are older, more experienced, and you've got a lot of wisdom, but somebody's got to pay for that experience and wisdom. And so I think that if we dig down into some of these numbers, a lot of the reason that that's the case is quite frankly because of some of the turmoil we experienced going back into 2007, 2008. Now, that having been said, there's an opportunity. You know, we've seen a lot of times the Chinese symbol of the yin and the yang. You know, danger presents opportunity. And so you've got to take advantage of those opportunities to do some things. ARP has this great program, they call it Life Reimagined. So what does that mean? What do you think you want your life to look like? Now, we heard from Doc, and we now understand perhaps why he made that transition. It was perhaps forced upon him, but he did what he needed to do in order to live out the remainder of his life. You know, for many years we talked about getting to your 60s and retiring and you know, getting a gold watch and having those sorts of things come about. How many people think they're going to spend their retirement, no offense, Doc, golfing or just gardening? Is there anybody that sees that in the future? Okay, all right, one brave soul.
Don't forget fishing.
And fishing. I like to fish. I grew up with a river in my backyard, a bit of a country boy. But what I want you to think about is we look at Life Reimagined, think for a minute. If you retire at about 60, 65, you've got another 30 years in front of you in all likelihood. So if we roll the clock back a little bit, let's call it 50, how do you think you want to spend the next 30, 40 years? Do you want to spend it working in a grind, or do you want to take the time to think about something that you really enjoy, that you get a charge out of? When you get up in the morning, you're happy to do it. You know, Buddy, I can't imagine that Buddy's the kind of guy that's ever met a stranger. I'm going to steal something from Will Rogers. There's a certain joy and excitement. He's doing something that he loves to do. You want to find what that thing is. Get good at it. Get really good at it. And you'll never have to worry about anything. And so some of the resources, and I'll talk about that kind of thing briefly, because everybody here, I'll share those resources, links, websites with you. You can go about some things. So a lot of this information is geared towards those people that have started businesses. And for the people in the room, most of us in an overwhelming fashion have already gone down that road. But I don't want that to dissuade you from looking and using some of these resources. Because even if you've been in business for a while, there are some great resources out there that will help you learn some things. You know, are you comfortable taking on new ideas? How do you feel about new ideas? What about the pace of change? I'll give you an example. A couple of months ago, one of the columns that I wrote for Market Watch, I was sitting in my office one day listening to the radio, and I got it on Pandora, and there's an old song from my childhood, a guy by the name of Lee Williams. I think he might have been a one-hit wonder, but the song's Because I Love You. You know, and it's one of those songs where the guy's talking about a girl he's in love with, and you know she's breaking his heart, and he calls his buddy on the phone and says, "Hey man, listen, I don't know if you've ever been in love the way that I've been in love, and but you just have this feeling about this girl." And so I stayed up all night and I watched TV until TV went off, and I thought about that. I remember TV going off when I was a kid. Okay? Some of you might not remember that. Maybe I see a couple of people that might not remember TV going on. But you get the wave pattern, goes to the dot, Star Spangled Banner, and then it's done until the next day. Well, now, a scant 30 years later, you reach into your pocket and you can watch TV infinitely. What might the next 30 years look like? What are some of the challenges that could occur over the course of the next 30 years? Some of the ways that we do business now won't exist in 30 years. And so even though we've been doing a good job, I challenge you to take advantage of the resources. I know that I'm preaching to the choir because you guys are here, but dig in a little further. Take advantage of those resources. You know, in my own industry, okay, there's this thing called the rise of the robo-advisor. It's something that we have to consider. I've got my own opinions about it, but hey, listen, you can go to a website, ask all the questions, then perhaps you get the right answer. I might not think that's the best thing to do, but there's hedge funds, private equity folk, they're dumping millions and millions of dollars to prove me wrong, myself and others. And so again, there are things that we just could not imagine doing 30 years ago. Is anybody in here a travel agent? Okay, used to be, all right. The travel agency business 15, 20 years ago, great. Things change. We reach into our pocket, we tap kayak or something like that. We can get a lot of information. You've got to figure out what it is. Get ahead of the curve. Newspaper business. Is anybody in here employed by the AJC? Okay, fine. So, we might say that, hey, listen, the AJC is having the troubles it's having, dare I say, perhaps going down the toilet, if you will, because of poor journalism. Maybe that's got something to do with it. But again, information is out there, it's everywhere. And if you are in a business that is going to survive the next 10, 20, 30 years, you've got to be aware of those sorts of changes. Thinking independently. Are you afraid to go against the grain? Are you content to just kind of swim along with everybody else, just kind of follow the current? You've got to be willing to raise your hand and perhaps go against the grain. Think independently. You don't want to get caught up in the herd mentality. That's a little too easy. You know, in my line of work, you talk about investments. It's contrarian investing. Sometimes, no matter what it is that your business is, your business focus, you've got to be a little contrarian at times and not be afraid to think independently. What organization is the organization that's successful? Is it that organization or that person that looks like everything else? Or is it the person or the organization that stands out from the others? There's any number of reasons that you could pick any realtor you want. Why would you pick Buddy? Buddy has to do what it takes to stand out from the crowd. There are lots of golf professionals in Metro Atlanta. Why would we choose Doc Block? You've got to look at those things and figure out what you have to do, and sometimes that requires thinking independently. Now, perhaps that's a little scary, because there's safety and comfort in not standing out. You know, if you think about sort of a wolf pack, if you will, if you're blended in with the herd, you're moving along, you're standing there, you're in great shape. But when you stray away from the rest of the group, you expose yourself. Well, sometimes from a business perspective, you got to do that. It's imperative. A couple of traits, and then I'll go through this briefly, and then I'll go ahead and sit down. One, have a clear vision. What is your vision? And this is twofold, particularly for those small business people. What's your vision for your personal life? And what is your vision for your business? How many people took the time to actually write and refer to a business plan? Okay? Now, you kind of got it in your head. But I encourage you, for those that have not done it yet, take the time and write it down so that you've got a clear vision. Once that vision is clear in your head, it makes it a whole lot easier to obtain whatever your goals are. Okay? You've got to have some determination. It's not always going to be easy. You know, one of the examples that I like to use quite often is Tiger Woods. And I'm not saying this because I met Doc today. I believe that one of the reasons that Tiger Woods was as good as he was because he took the time to write down his goals from the time he was a little kid. I don't know that he knew who Jack Nicklaus was when he was a little kid, but he had that poster up there and said, listen, I want to beat that guy. And that's what he focused on. So he had a clear vision. He also had the determination. Sometimes you're going to end up in the bunker. Sometimes you're going to dump one in the creek. It's okay. You can't stop. Anybody that's been in business for any length of time will tell you you're going to have those rough patches. There are times when I thought, man, did I really make the right decision? But you've got to make sure that you've got that determination to keep on forward. You've got to have that ambition. Either go great or go home. You don't want to be mediocre. Why be mediocre? You can be mediocre and just collect a paycheck. But if you're going to go out on your own, if you're going to have a business, go great. And the last thing is be a problem solver. If you can solve problems for people, you'll never have to worry about business. People look for somebody that can solve their problems. My heart isn't going quite right. I want a cardiologist. My back's been bothering. I need to go talk to a spine specialist. I need a new house. Stone Mountain Village isn't as pretty as Smyrna. It is what it is. I'll go back and talk to somebody and say, listen, you know, let's do a road trip or something like that. You guys rebuild this, or otherwise you might find some people moving to the other side of 285. Okay? But be a problem solver. Do those things, and you'll never have an issue. Now, I want to share just a couple of places you can go, and I promise I'll sit down. And Joseph said, listen, we can't be at more than 5 minutes, and I think I've already, outstayed my welcome. A couple of web resources, and I'll make sure that you guys get copies of this. A couple of places to go. www.aarp.org/workresources. I'll give that to you again. www.aarp.org/workresources. Another website, www.sba.gov/encore. That's ENCOR. Again, www.sba.gov/encore. And that's the Small Business Administration on Encore entrepreneurs. Okay? Is there anything like that?
Any questions?
Any questions, comments, thoughts? Otherwise, I'll sit down and get out of the way of the next speaker.
Yeah, what's the,
Okay.
no,
links, they don't know how old you are. So the resources are available. There's tons of resources there, but again, the membership, yes, 50 plus, but these resources, they're available anywhere.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
My question is, in regards to AARP, do you have to count, people that like you or that work, that you have a certain person, you talk to someone other than just get on the computer and get web links?
Yes. Okay, so her question was, when you've got questions about different types of things, be it from a business perspective or a personal perspective, are there people at AARP that you can contact and talk to? The answer to that question is yes. I'm contract. I'm a hired gun, if you will. And so some of my typical things, they do teletown halls where I might be on the phone or doing a video conference with a few thousand people, and they allow time for questions and answers. The TV show we did in Nashville last week, same sort of thing. You're calling in, asking those questions. And a lot of times, people don't get a chance to ask their question during the course of the TV show or the webinar, and the folks that screen the calls, they'll take those questions, and I will answer questions later on. There are other people that do a similar thing, but there's a massive workforce, if you will, both based in Washington, D.C. and with the state house, the state organization here in Georgia, where you can actually call and talk to someone and get some assistance. And so if you've got different groups or organizations and you'd like to have somebody come out to your organization, trust me, there's an army of people to bring to bear. Again, thank you for allowing me to be here with you today. Thank you for making me feel at home, and I don't know, maybe I'll have to swing back over this side of town sometime. Thank you.